fingertips. A partner who breaks down complex financial information and takes you straight to the critical details that matter most to your hustle. A partner who understands the Nigerian economy, the financial markets, and where money is made legitimately. From stocks to bonds to treasury bills to real estate to startups to crypto, we are the plug for the information you need to make the right investment decisions. We are Nairametrics, Nigeria's leading destination for business news, macroeconomic data, investing, and financial literacy. Visit www.nairametrics.com for all the information you need to navigate through the world of investing. Nairametrics, creating wealth through information. This is Sweet Breakfast on your dial, just the way you like it.
Business Express on Smooth 98.1, brought to you by Nairametrics, creating wealth through information.
And that's right. Business Express today is brought to you by Nairametrics. My name is Victor Pepple. It's time now to discuss the big business stories. As usual, joining us for the next 15 minutes with detailed analysis and telling you all the things you need to know right here on Business Express, Rotus Odiri. Good morning, Rotus.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Vic. Good morning to all our listeners, and good morning to our special guest from Nairametrics.
Thank you very much. Joining us this morning is financial market analyst at Nairametrics, Olumide Adesina. Olumide, good morning to you. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. All right. Yesterday, Rotus, we began talking about the, fuel scarcity and panic buying, as it were. And before the end of the day, it was a thing. It was a big, big, big thing here in Lagos. What was your experience? Let's talk a bit about that before we just get into it.
I think I've fallen sick. I had to walk. I couldn't drive, Rotus. And I was walking in the sun, and now I think I'm down with a fever. So that's what Nigeria has caused. So it was a bad experience. It impacts productivity. Yeah, everybody was affected. Olumide, what do you think? What did you make of what we saw yesterday?
Yeah, same here. Bottlenecks and high traffic intensity across urban areas was very rough. And this is the price we pay for lack of political will on the oil sector.
All right, before we get straight into the conversation this morning, be part of the conversation, sending messages to us on WhatsApp 0809-444-0981. Also tweet us at Smooth981FM. All right, we'd like to read from you. We're streaming live on YouTube. It's Smooth981FM Lagos. Olumide, let's come to you. IPMAN has put out a statement. They say they want to sell the product at 180 naira per liter. They cannot continue selling at 165. What do you make of this decision by IPMAN, Olumide?
Yeah, we saw this knocking on the door. Let's be fair. You understand the price of crude oil over and above $120 a barrel, and the fact that Africa's leading oil producing country, Nigeria, keeps subsidizing. One would have expected that. Though we are getting results from export earnings, but we are not really getting so much because the last data suggested that Nigeria is producing 1 million barrels per day. So we're having a shortfall of about 1.5. And even though OPEC raised our oil output to 1.8, it means that we have little earnings. And, the dollar is really going up. So it increases dollar borrowing costs. And that was why the Minister of Finance could not trigger more Eurobonds access. So it's really unsurprising to see the fact that government is left with less ammunition to subsidize that. But having said that, one would have expected that government should have started the gradual removal of subsidy. But it's an election year, so they felt that they could extend it or allow the new parties in power to come.
But is it IPMAN that should be the regulator right now, telling us the new prices? And going from 165 naira to 180 naira, would that cover for the cost of importing the product for these marketers who are saying, we want to be selling at 180? And also we've seen estimates of 240 naira per liter and even higher.
Yeah, but let's be honest here. Yeah, I understand your bias here that it's supposed to come from the other side. But see, when you look at the exchange, when you look at the currency exchange rates, and you look at the fact that the US dollar is powering up, and crude oil prices also with Russia, Ukraine, and dynamics coming to play, one would say that the other side had no choice to trigger an upward review of prices. But you see, I think where regulators will come in is where how far the price will go. I suggest that definitely price will oscillate above the present, because the narrative is that we can't keep at these prices with the prevailing market price across international markets.
Rotus, do you think that the regulator will step in?
I do. I mean, they have to step in. If at this point, IPMAN is not, you're just a marketer. You can't just, in the face of, in a regulatory environment, step up and just say that, oh, we're going to at this price.
I thought so too.
So I will see how it plays out today.
Well, but right now, they're the marketers, they're the ones with the product, and they've said across Nigeria, it's 180 Naira. And we might even see in some states, aside Lagos, selling much more than 180 Naira. Do you think that this subsidy will be removed next year? Because I know that if the subsidy is removed, we might begin to buy higher than what we're buying at this present moment.
Yeah, that's the big question. And that is for the next administration to deal with when whoever wins the election. It's going to be a tough decision, looking at where, I mean, I don't know where oil prices will be by February of next year or even May of next year when the transition takes place. But they have to do it. They were supposed to do it this year. Maybe after elections have passed, they'll have room to do it, but there's going to be shock following it.
Just a quick question. If we actually remove subsidy, won't Nigerians begin to buy the products for as much as 400 Naira and even more?
Yeah, that's based on the estimates we've seen. Look at where diesel is. I think normally petrol is supposed to sell for more than diesel, and diesel is dear, as I understand it. So if you use diesel as a gauge, it tells you what you could possibly be paying, seeing as oil prices have topped. I think it's fallen down to 112, but they were over 120 2 days ago. So diesel gives you an idea of what we could possibly be paying. It would be looking at what it would mean for transportation, food. It would be a big shock. So they have to deal with that. They have to start.
Benga Komu has a message here. He says, what is ANNPC saying about this? What are they also say? Do we not deserve an explanation from them?
Well, I think ANNPC is helpless here. If you look at the fact that they've not even been able to remit export earnings to the federation account, and that's why the CBN lacks liquidity in interfering in our currency market. So I think just like what Rotu said, we have dynamic problems in the oil sector. First of all, investment in that sector has trickled by 30% in 2021. Also, the fact that oil theft is becoming the headlines of the day. Security apparatus, IOCs are abandoning our assets, so it's pretty much until we see much clarity. So I would rather not blame the ANNPC. I'd rather blame the whole entity, the oil industry, because if you look at what the Saudis are really making right now, they're making about $30 billion a month on just high oil prices. The Russians, even being exposed to sanctions, are making $20 billion a month, while Nigeria is running at a loss. So you can understand the dynamics of where the problem is.
Well, Chibuzo has a message here. It says, I understand that crude oil price is up in the international market, but government said they are subsidizing. How come IPMAN is deciding the price of the petroleum product after being subsidized by government? That's the question he's asking.
Yeah, because government
can't do that. Go ahead, Olumide, go ahead.
Yeah, because government is really helpless. Yeah. I understand the fact that it's the job of regulator to set floor prices and put a kind of ceiling. But you see, when government lacks the ammunition, you see market forces taking control, and that is how capitalism works. But you see, the narrative right now is that prevailing oil prices across markets is high, and that's why we see in the United States is even above $4 a gallon. So I think the question right now is the incentives to really mitigate the pressure an average citizen is working on. And many experts will tell you that the solutions are investing on our transportation infrastructure. I think that's how an average citizens can be able to be immune against these high energy prices, because energy prices are high across market and they are here to stay. So the Nigerian political authorities need to be very professional on how they pass the messages across citizens, because people need to understand that we have no low energy cost across markets right now.
Okay, let's squeeze this one in and then get the show rolling. Ugo from Apapa sends this in, says, in actual fact, if any form of energy should be subsidized, it should be diesel. Diesel drives the economy in terms of transportation, power, businesses, and so on. This would translate to reduction in the price of goods and services, which would translate further to reduced inflation. Petrol is only subsidized for the benefit of the middle class and elites, who, for example, have more than 2 cars. The government, as it has to pay a form of subsidy, and it should be paid on diesel. We cannot afford to deregulate both petrol and diesel. That's a comment there from Ugo. But guys, let's get this going. Let's look at the markets now. The NGX down 1.97% to start the week. Lots of sell pressure over the past 6 days. Is it all profit taking, Olumide?
Well, somehow, but you need to give credit to the Nigerian stock index because you look at the fact that across different markets, they are already in a bearish territory. If you look at the year-to-date of the Nigerian stock market, you see that it's still rallying above 18%. But pretty much, you look at individual stocks, we see in banking stock, particularly First Bank, triggered by insider selling. So we saw that breaking below the 10 naira mark, and that's really pushed more selling. And telcos, the fact that telcos really have a strong weight in the index, we saw profit taking particularly on MTN, and that's really what dragged the stock market. But if you look at it relatively, it's been a bullish run the market, and it seems local participation is increasingly high, despite the fact we see foreign portfolio investors leaving their funds out.
The market is still up 18% for the year. Are there still good stocks to pick up?
Definitely, just a policy. I want to mention stocks, but if you look at, especially if you look at blue chip bank stocks, take a look at the Orange Bank. Its dividend yield is definitely very attractive. I look at the fact that some of these companies are already going into new sectors, especially in fintech. You look at GT, for example, they really launched a product called Squad. And I think they're targeting merchants. And also look at other players in the industry. They're bringing new products. But the problem right now is that, we're in an election year. Investors are really putting funds on the sidelines. Though we see that some market experts will tell you that they're positioning for the second half of the coming year, looking at earnings and looking at bargain assets. But I think geopolitical uncertainty and the fact that crude oil prices are not relating to much more higher gains for Nigeria, who might really push the year-to-date gains to less than 10% in the coming months.
Very quickly, before we begin to wrap up the conversation, what other assets can our listener at this time add to stocks to have a balanced portfolio?
Yeah, fixed income market, that's why we fixed income mutual funds, ETFs. These are very conservative financial assets that you could really look onto. And, that's why we usually advise that you have a financial advisor or more financial market expert that will really guide you through. And I think many of our investment banks offer these services. Also, for those that are really very young and who want to get exposure in the dollar earnings, it's time to buy some US tech stocks. We look at the fact that some of them are down more than 75%, and that's because of the liquidity crunch and the high interest rates by the US Fed to tame high inflation. So we see some opportunities there. But I think for the crypto market right now, it's a no right now because we could see the exodus of high institutional investors and the fact that the market is really suffering from unregulated entities pushing systemic exposure. So it's really pretty much, but if you are really very young and you really want to expose yourself, I think the crypto assets also can give you leverage, but I think you have to test the water with little exposure.
All right, Rostas, before we go, I saw this article in the Business Day that talks about how after 18 months of the AfCFTA, the agreement is yet to reflect in Nigeria's exports. What do you think the challenge is in maybe 20 seconds?
In 20 seconds, I'll give you even shorter than that. Infrastructure and trade bottlenecks. That's Nigeria's your infrastructure, fix your trade bottlenecks, and you can now profit off of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
I feel very sad about this, but hey, I wish we could talk about this tomorrow. We need to go now. Thank you very much. Let's see if we can squeeze in just one more message. It says marketers borrow from banks and banks are regulated by the CBN or government. And if they don't pay back, they will be pushed to the EFCC by the same government. So marketers have to take charge. It sounds like a marketer. But anyways, thank you very much for being a part of the conversation today. Let's keep it going on Twitter at Smooth981FM. Also tag at Rotan Quote in
very quickly.
That.
I just have to just remind people about the Stock Selector newsletter.
That's right. Okay, so we have this other information for you as well, very quickly, as you are ready to get onto Twitter. We want to let you know that this episode, of course, is brought to you by Nairametrics. You can follow Nairametrics on all social media platforms and also subscribe to their premium newsletter. All right, it's called Stock Select Newsletter, SSN, Stock Select Newsletter, a weekly stock guide. It's written by Ugo Dre on local and international best performing stocks to guide investors on what to buy, sell, and hold. All right, now Nairametrics is offering a 30% discount to all subscribers from Business Express. That's some good news. So visit ss.nairametrics.com/coupon. Again, ss.nairametrics.com/COUPON and enter the promo code SMOOTHFM to get the 30% discount. How cool is that? Well, let's do this again tomorrow at 6:30. Thank you very much, Rotus, for being a part of the show today.
Thank you. Thanks, Olumide.
Thank you, Olumide Adesina, also for joining us. Good morning.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Victor Pepple.
Business Express on Smooth 98.1, brought to you by Nairametrics.
Ooh, thank you very much, everyone. We need to go.
Hey.